You have expertise in how to run companies, from McKinsey, about making them data-driven from Spotify, how to get funding from with EQT, and now you're starting your own company.
Yeah.
How did that happen, and what you're going to do?
What am I doing?
So please tell us, what's up? It's called ArK Kapital, right?
Yes, exactly. Funny that you asked about that.
1.5 hours in.
That's good. No, I think this is, I mentioned that I love starting things and building things. And I think, again, after 5 years at EQT, I felt that now this really works. We have 2 funds in EQT Ventures 1 and 2 running. I was also part of setting up this the growth fund as well, and the whole Motherbrain team was not just started as an idea. We started to build it, and then we had 25 people, so it became like a big startup of its own within EQT. So that's like the ship is sailing. This is really fantastic, and we have great teams that work on that. And that got me, started thinking, or like my nerves were starting to itch again for starting a new thing again.
Yes.
And at the same time, also seeing all these great founders that I met during my years as an investor, pitching all the time every week by tens of founders, and then seeing how my judgments were like sometimes correct and sometimes not correct, and also trying to work with these companies to help them with different things. And sometimes I was just frustrated. Why don't they do what I tell them? I see how this should be done. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like it's probably not that easy when you get there yourself. So I just wanted to start something myself. Mm-hmm. So then I had several ideas during my years of things. If I start something, what should I do? And one of these things was what came out from a frustration and observation of these different great founders that I met with. So many founders are building great companies, but they don't fit perfectly well for the VC mandate. So the VCs we can only invest in companies if we see that here is an upside that could really be like 100x of the investment, because we know that we have to make 100 such investments, and 1 or 2 or 3 of them will really work and the rest will not work. So the upside of those, every single case has to be like mega. Yeah. So lots of the founders that we met with, we couldn't invest even though they had great companies. When you look at the data, when you do your analysis, when you look at the numbers, you saw that this is a great idea. We already see that the metrics are great, but we can't invest as a VC fund. And I walked away.
So you have to have some kind of 100x.
It's a lot of checklist stuff that you need to check, such as that. So the upside needs to be huge. And maybe for many of these founders, like it didn't really match that. They didn't want to take that much risk and go crazy about that, or the target segment was not big enough, or it was required a lot of capital that we couldn't go as a VC fund. So many companies out there build great companies, great ideas, but we can't invest as VCs. Yeah. And these companies cannot go to banks either unless they have been successfully profitable for many years. Because that's what banks are for. So there's a big gap here with great innovators and founders are building great solutions to world problems that we cannot fund. So who should fund these companies?
So identify a gap here.
A large gap. Yeah. So I felt like I wanted to start a company that could actually fund these companies. So another part of it is also that in many of these companies who are doing great, when you do the analysis, it makes a lot of sense that this is like perfect. When you do the analysis in the way you should do, like using your modern analytics approach, you can see that this is forecastable, this is predictable. And then in those cases, it feels also a bit bad that why do you need to go to a VC and give away 20% of your company when it's all predictable? This is going to happen. Right. In some way, like using modern tech, it's not high risk anymore, then you should not go to a risk investor, right? It's actually low risk. You should be able to go to a bank, but the banks don't understand that. They can't do that tech analysis.
Right. Oh, nice.
So that's the other part. So when there is, I think from my perspective, having been in this analytics space for long, for me, it was like in many cases, this is not high risk. You just do the analytics. You see, this is perfect. This is great. And that's, I think, where VC money should go to, where it's real, true high risk, and where there is predictable growth. They should be able to go to a bank and just lend money instead. So that was the other aspect. So I wanted to start a company so what if we do a company that actually connects to the company's own data, do the analytics in the way that we know that the best companies that are best at analytics do the analysis. And then from that position, after knowing the companies in the best possible way, offer the best possible funding. That's what I wanted to start. But if I wanted to do that, then I knew the data side. I was pretty experienced in how to run, how to build out the analytics sides, right? And but I did not know anything about the finance part. So how can we start a company that is a financial institution that lends money to someone? So I need to find other co-founders for that.
So it's very meta, like a funding company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's also like a big impact, right? If you do that well, you can have a really, really big impact. So that's what actually drove me the most, I think. So this idea was like, wow, if I do this well, I could fix like funding for many founders out there, have them let them grow much faster and in much more fair ways,
and without giving away.
Because I don't think that's really fair in those cases where the growth is predictable. And then we could serve as a complement to the VCs. So the VCs could focus on the high risk stuff and really open and like fund really high risky bets. And then for the other parts of the business, which is predictable, they could come to us.